has to be really built on a win-win. Well, we call it win-win-win because obviously we also have that element of a franchise partner. So everyone in the circle has to win. And, there was something that shared recently by our chairman where it's, rather than talking about the slices of pie and who gets what bit of pie, let's just make the pie bigger. So I love that.
It's a great comment.
It is a great comment.
Yeah.
I'm Matt Cooper and this is Bite Sides.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Ausfine Bite Sides podcast. This is a really special day because we've got a very close friend here with us today. We've had a very long-standing relationship with Domino's Pizza, but particularly this person, since she's come on board, we've just gelled with really deeply, which we're very thankful for and thankful also for having her with us today in the podcast studio. Normally I wouldn't read from my notes, but I am going to today because Cez has done a really good job as an intro. So our guest today, Bec Unicomb, is the ANZ Procurement Manager of Domino's Pizza. Bec brings deep experience across procurement, supply chain and supplier partnerships, having spent many years in food service before stepping into a current ANZ leadership role at Domino's. Known for a collaborative approach and sharp commercial mindset, Bec works at the intersection of quality, efficiency and long-term partnerships, an area that's more important than ever in today's food industry. Bec, welcome to the podcast. What do you think about that?
What a wrap. I'm honoured to be here.
I think it's, it actually covers some really interesting areas that I think, from our relationship are quite unique in the relationship that particularly Domino's and yourself have with suppliers and that deep integration and appreciation for each other, which we'll get to in due course because I really want to unpack that because I think it is a really special, unique place. But before we get there, Bec, what's your background story? How do you come to be sitting in front of us today?
How did I get here?
Yeah.
So first and foremost, my first job was actually Domino's. I'm a maker by blood, so represent...
On the make line?
On the make line.
Yeah.
First make. There is a difference between first and last, but I was always first make.
Sorry, do tell. What's the difference?
To be fair, it probably is more in my head, but the shop layout that we had, if you were last in line, which obviously is responsible for making a pizza look good, you also had to walk to the oven, whereas I just wanted to be there, kind of sauce, cheese, pepperoni, and, slide it down. I felt like maybe I was more in charge or something being first make.
Yeah.
Just sounds better as well than last make.
Just before we go on, when we go to the Domino's rally and they're doing the pizza making competition and there's ingredients flying everywhere, that's kind of what I imagine that first make to be like. Sauce going on crazy and cheese flying everywhere.
It is.
Is that what it's like?
Yeah, 100%. A little bit more controlled in a store environment. But yeah, look, it's probably where your passion grows, right? It was my first job. I did it through high school. I did it through university.
Yeah.
And then, it kind of came to a crossroad where it was either, you're going to buy a store or you're going to go into, the corporate world. So I went from Domino's to the state government.
Of which state?
Queensland.
Okay, so you're a Queensland girl, born and bred.
Yeah. So I worked at the Office of State Revenue,
okay.
stamp duty assessment, first homeowner grant, and I did that for quite a while, to be honest, for around 7 years. And then
Sorry for interrupting once again, but going back to your first job, and your first job always is quite meaningful, I think, in your first entry into the workforce. Domino's, from our position looking in, has always been the hustle culture and it's been promoted right through from head office down to store level of hustle, and to your point on the make line of getting pizzas out the door as quickly as possible. And as I said, goes right the way through to head office. Really, from what we saw, spearheaded by Don, who would, whenever he was giving a presentation, would run to the stage and to give his presentation. So you've gone from that to what I would imagine is a pretty lower key, staid environment of state government. How was that transition?
Yes, it's probably while I'm not there today. Look, it is 100% a different pace, and it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So, look, I was young. It gave me a lot of diverse interactions. And then I stumbled my way into accounts for a gold mine company.
Right.
Yep. And then from there, I'll never forget this. This is the day that my career kind of turned, that the procurement team in the gold mine, it was Christmas, and they were getting all of these supply gifts. And I thought...
all the wine and the
correct.
chocolates. And
back in the day, because it was quite prevalent.
Substantial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, I want presents. To be fair, and so I said to one of the guys, how do I get into this? And he's like, oh, well, actually, and they do a lot of expediting there, right, where it's like pushing and pulling of purchase orders and things like that, because obviously with mining, you've got a lot of contracts and long lead times. I mean,
very long.
6 plus.
Yep.
Nothing's 1 or 2 days,
Yep.
but I thought, I can do that. I can, somebody says that purchase order, it's urgent, kind of push and pull. So I got into it being an expediter.
For that same gold mining?
For the same gold mine.
Yeah.
And then I thought, yes,
So just out of interest, where was that gold mine?
They were actually offshore. So they were, the one that I looked after was Solomon Islands based and Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
So it was owned by an Australian gold mine. But, so Simberi Gold was what it was called. But they were offshore, expat-driven gold mines.
So was that quite unique because of its remoteness, like have its own procurement challenges of getting
so they had local supply chain, inventory, all of that. It was more centralised. Onshore was all of your contract, big cost centre driven purchase orders.
Okay.
But to be fair, I originally as an expediter, I thought, yes, bring on next Christmas,
Where's my wine and chocolates?
Where are my wine and chocolates? And then I realised really quickly that, there is that many different types of drills, nails. It was not my world.
Yeah, right.
At all.
Okay.
Did it for a little while, and then unfortunately there was a cyclone that came through the Solomon Islands. Shut down the gold mine, expats got evacuated out. And in my head, I thought, because we were contractors back then, it was kind of, there was no permanent position. You were a contractor. I thought, this is not going to end well. Went on to Seek and I found PFD Foods and thought everyone needs food and applied, and the rest is history when it came to then getting into the food world.
Yeah. It's funny, just a little side note, everyone needs to eat. That was my history with Ausfine, obviously started by my uncle Don, and that was his motto as well, was everyone's got to eat.
Yeah.
So it's a good industry to be in because everyone's got to eat.
100%.
That's one thing AI can't disrupt either, is us eating.
Yeah, correct.
So into PFD. So that's a unique world as well, the food service world. Thousands of SKUs, I'd imagine huge number of interactions with suppliers and procurement partners. What was that world like? Did you kind of have that relationship with suppliers as you did when you moved into Domino's, or was it more transactional?
No, definitely. Look, there is a time and place for everything, and I think with PFD and it, to be fair, it was more supply chain based. Was my leadership there as a state based role. You're moving boxes, so there's no kind of innovation or anything. You're moving boxes for obviously end users and things like that. And because obviously you do need choice as a consumer, it's probably, let's say, more transactional based. I think that there's still obviously partnerships that form and everything, but I definitely can see compared to, where I am now, that, there is obviously a lot more transaction-based relationships.
Okay. And then, so coming to kind of the more contemporary part of the story for us anyway, how did you find your way to Domino's?
Yeah, so it's coming up 3 years. I randomly actually received an email from Paul, who was our previous Chief Partnerships Officer for ANZ.
Great man, Paul.
He was. And my girlfriend actually, I had still some connections in Domino's. So I originally, I'll never forget, I ended up calling my girlfriend going, it's got this really random email, were you up to it? And she's like, I know nothing about that. Anyway, and I'd been at PFD for 9.5 years. I had recently come back from maternity leave. I was really comfortable in my role at PFD. I kind of felt like I could be blindfolded and do my job.
Yeah, sure.
So I guess there was this point where I thought, look, do I go and have a conversation and see, and, am I ready to take that next step? So, I ended up having a couple of conversations there, and I know this is going to sound really weird, but it felt like home. I felt like I was back, and, maybe that's the definition of a true Dominoid. So I made the decision to leave PFD after 9.5 years. Shout out to them. But, it's been... And here we are today, where it's been a whirlwind, to be fair.
Yeah, and what a 3 years to experience. No doubt you've seen the great and the challenging across those 3 years. But going back to kind of your first, say, 6 months in the role, from your experience in procurement in PFD and food service world to the way that Domino's worked with their procurement team, what was the most stark difference that you saw?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I am humble enough to know that I came into really great foundations. My global head of partnerships and that, the foundations were really strong from a supplier point of view. Yep. Look, even the terminology, we don't refer to our suppliers as suppliers. We 100% call them business partners. And that was one of the stark realities, is that, it's even just the language that you use. And so I find it really hard sometimes to say to suppliers, because, it's just not terminology that we use. But I'm humble enough to realise that, but I guess for me it was but I have enough ego to go, I still want to do things my way. There's still got to be a little bit of flair, and it's got to be kind of the Bec way, in line with obviously the, strategy and decision that's kind of already pathed out. But the biggest difference, apart from now we're not moving boxes, it's ingredients and innovation and all of the fun things. It's the differences of relationships. And we're talking, some business partners, it's 20 plus years, which, it kind of blew my mind, to be fair.
Yeah, it's funny, you go to some organisations and they talk about values, or, any mantras that they might use, they put up on the wall, and a lot don't live by what's up on the wall at all. They'll have it up on the wall, but do the kind of complete polar opposite. But this is more a comment than a question, really, is that you guys referring to your suppliers as business partners. I honestly do believe it, having worked with Domino's now for 15 years. There's times where there's challenges, but when those happen, it's very much how can we solve it together.
Correct. Yeah.
And even the relationships we've formed with other business partners through the years, and what they have been willing to do for Domino's is pretty amazing. If I think of Tibaldi during the COVID period, of families standing on the make line to make sure that the bacon got delivered to Domino's, and talking to Brendan from Visi, and some of the undertakings they've done over periods of time to make sure you guys have got the pizza boxes you needed, and the design, and rushing out new designs. It's pretty unique, and I think that, I don't know if this is true, but Do you find that difficult when the pressure is on cost savings to balance that with those long-standing relationships and partnerships? You've kind of got two opposing forces here in some respects of, you rightly need to have cost savings, but you have these deep ingrained relationships as well. Do you find that difficult, or you find that you're able to navigate that fairly easily?
I'll be honest, I actually think it's an easier conversation. Look, I mean, there's always going to be hard conversations to be had. I mean, that is the world that we live in when it comes to procurement and that. I don't feel that they are as challenging because you have that relationship. If we talk about what a relationship means, and to me it's built on trust and communication. So if I'm going to value that relationship, I should be able to come to you openly and honestly and have those conversations about commercials. Look, commercial viability is everywhere, and it has to be viable to make that, and it has to be win-win. The thing is, we can't win without our business partners. We can't win without great products, but it has to be commercially viable. And you guys also aren't going to do it because, you love Domino's. It has to be really built on a win-win. Well, we call it win-win-win because obviously we also have that element of a franchise partner. So everyone in the circle has to win. And, there was something that was shared recently by our chairman where it's, rather than talking about the slices of pie and who gets what bit of pie, let's just make the pie bigger. So I love that.
It's a great comment.
It is a great comment.
Yeah. It is a great comment, and it's a great observation because I think that that's true as well. If you do have that deep partnership that we're talking about cost savings is part of that, and it's not an unexpected conversation, and you can have some really open and transparent conversations around that as well as opposed to being guarded and just say, well, this is the reality of the situation. This is how much things cost in the world, which are sometimes unavoidable, but perhaps we can look at it a different way and come at it from a different angle, which is an innovation from the way we've done it previously as well. So it unlocks some creativity.
Yeah, correct. I mean, problem solving is 101, right? I mean, I would say that one of the things is problem solving, and how do we work together? 2 heads are better than 1, 3 heads are better than 2, Problem solving, you have to be able to think outside the box. I mean, gone are the days where, it's easy sailing. I mean, there's challenges left, right and centre. And, inflation is real. The cost of living is going up. Everyone is feeling the pressure. The pie is under pressure, the pie is under pressure.
We're trying to grow it, but it is under pressure.
We need to add some more, yeast and, to prosper. But, look, there's some great ingredients, and the whole point in not being transactional is, and that's one piece, and it's how do we get creative to navigate in an ever-changing, consumer demands and everything is changing. It's not how it used to be, and that's okay, but it's how do we navigate it together to get the best.
No, that's right. That's exactly right, and I think that it's a challenge faced by everyone. No one's unique in this chain. I'm actually interested just talking about the challenging and changing world of pizza in general. And I know that obviously your world is procurement, and so this is not necessarily just about Domino's, but the pizza area just in general, and your observations on it being so close to it. My take is that it is definitely changed for pizza because of the aggregators and the home delivery, and that home delivery used to be the realm of pizza, and you guys, being you in the industry, owned that piece. And if you're going to get something home delivered, 9 times out of 10 it was a pizza. That's all changed. Number one, do you think that that's true? And number two, what do you think? How serious is it? Is it a threat to the pizza industry? Do you think? Yeah,
look. So I mean, Domino's delivery experts, first and foremost. I think that was kind of what grew. This is also, again, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science. We're under pressure. I mean, the QSR market in general, we've got, fake away from a retail version. So people, are changing. You've got aggregators, which have now become everything is deliverable. But I think, the fact of the matter is everyone loves pizza. It is a shareable moment. You have if you're celebrating. I mean, there's so many facets that we still have a role to play, and I think that the fact is we can still dominate being a delivery expert. And we talked a lot about that this year when it comes to leading as a delivery expert. So making sure that product, which is designed to be delivered, we still own that space of a product that is hot, fresh and tasty the moment that you get it from your door. So,
yeah, that's so true in the sense of, yes, you can get anything delivered, but is it going to be good? And you guys have, as part of your DNA, making sure, and the R&D that's gone into it, be the hot, what are they, the hot boxes, the hot packs?
Hot cell?
Yep. That is designed for that great experience on delivery, whereas so many of the other meals you get through Uber Eats or whatever it might be just turns up in a brown paper bag, cold as hell and pretty unenjoyable and uninspiring when it kind of comes to you, whereas you guys, it's in your DNA and it's your heritage.
Yeah, definitely.
For the product to turn up. So it'll be interesting, and I know you can't give away any IP or anything like that, but is that the differentiator? Do you think that where you guys can re-establish that right to win?
I think it is one of the ways. I think, look, let's be honest, we also need innovation, and innovation has many forms. But if I, can talk about from, I guess, my world, it's finding that next, I have a saying at work where it's like, we want to have that next viral thing, right? I mean, really, if we live in the day and age now where, Dubai chocolate as an example, and, it just sells out everywhere and we have a pistachio shortage. I mean, we are now all in the race to kind of work out what is that next best thing that is, going to bring consumers into us.
Yeah. Yeah, that need to innovate is it's funny though, isn't it? It's because you got the core of who you are and what you do, which is pizza, but that need to innovate as well. So trying to find that mix between the two, I'd imagine, is often a tightrope that you guys are walking.
Yeah, definitely. We 100% are a pizza company, but yeah, consumers demand choice and they, want different things, and so innovation is still key. So if you know what that is,
$1 million question.
Tell me.
We got the ideas where you can have that viral moment.
Yeah,
for sure.
Tell me how to become viral.
A little kind of change of focus, but I've often wondered this: the different demographics and markets that you see in Australia. So when we first started working with you guys, we'd noticed the volume difference between a New South Wales and Queensland and Victoria. Victoria being still, a high population, but relatively not as strong as you guys were in New South Wales and Queensland. Do you know what are the main differences you notice in the different demographics and population centres in Australia? Yeah,
definitely. Look, I think depending on also store counts and things like that, but Victoria for the QSR market is just a hard market to crack, I think.
Is that true for all QSRs?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yep. So, it's, I guess you guys are homegrown in, independent, you want your choice and maybe it's perceived of, large brands, you want more authentic independence. But, the thing that I'll say about Victorians and also even just the people from our brand, these franchise partners are local community members who own the local store and things like that. So yes, it is obviously a global brand, but these franchise partners are homegrown community members, and yeah.
I've definitely noticed that from what I've seen. Quite often 30 pizzas will turn up at the local football club or the fire station, or, if there's bushfires going on, you guys are very making sure you're part of the support network for those, disaster relief or local community sporting events. Now, I know a lot of that is kind of driven culturally from head office, but I think also the franchisees have a part to play independently of that.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. That depending on what it is, but yeah, like when it's local community, it's normally the franchise partner who has been in direct contact with either the schools, sporting clubs, things like that, and that's off their own. We realise that as a community, I mean, it's that whole win-win, right? You don't win alone, and it's you win by having that community engagement and things like that.
Yeah, which is kind of breaks down that view of it being this big global behemoth, faceless somewhat a little bit. To actually know they're part of that store's part of the community, and the owner is a local resident as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Change of pace a little bit. Leadership. So I'm often interested in people's take on leadership, and how would you characterise your leadership style, and what do you like in a leader?
Yeah, look, I think I am very self-aware. I would like to think anyway, and I like to reflect. I think, leadership for me, and especially in the role that I am currently, it's kind of, you're not influencing, just one way. It's kind of, I like to think, I'm kind of leading as a peer-to-peer. I'm managing up, I'm managing down. I'm managing all around. I'll manage you.
You do. You do manage me, you're right.
Yeah, I think that, look, I don't like working in silos. I think, that kind of if you see something, point it out and kind of, in the right way. You've got to have tact. You've got to know when to push, when to pull back. I think, that's probably come with a little bit of years of experience. I can sometimes be a little bit cheeky and rogue, but yeah, it's knowing when to go, hang on, actually, Rebecca, you cannot say that, which I still struggle with sometimes. I'm not perfect.
I haven't actually witnessed that just yet, but I'm sure it's happened.
I'm sure it has. But, look, for me, it's about listening. I think that if I go, okay, well, what are the great leaders that I've had? And I have been lucky enough to have a couple. I feel like they validate, that they listen, because sometimes you just want to be heard. And then that validation comes after it, where it's, whether it's praising, I sometimes think that for me especially, I'm a little bit of a golden retriever. I like pats.
I was wondering where that was going.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
That's my analogy.
Yeah.
I always have to reference it to an animal. But yeah, look, I think a lot of people are like that. I think that we are quick to, if somebody's doing something wrong, that will pull them up straight away. Whereas, you know what? I think we forget sometimes to praise little things, which can go a long way for employees and that. So, and then build a great culture.
Yeah. Fantastic insights, and it's funny what you just mentioned around particularly going back to your point about silos, and you like being able to be across lots of different parts of the business, and if something's you're seeing something either wrong or an opportunity that you're able to engage with that. That's something we're working on right now, so it's really pertinent, and it's funny how different workplaces can have similar challenges, I guess, and you're going through a similar journey, even though you may not be in exactly the same kind of industry or type of company.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, you would rather a team of passionate people, passionate passion can sometimes be, that people are emotive and things like that. But if you can bring people in and have them passionate about your brand, you know, the first thing that then they have in their mind is this the best thing for the business? You know, it's going to be a much better productive environment if you've got people who are passionate about your brand and your business, and you've got to bring them on the journey.
Great call. Yeah, it's so true. Really, really good observation. Yeah, very pertinent at the moment, actually, for some of the stuff we're working on. But no, it's I could not agree with you more. We're actually coming towards the end of time, actually. This has been a wonderful chat. Really, really great. Just before we get there, one last question, just a future bit of crystal balling. Yeah. What do you think the future holds over the next couple of years in regards to food and you know, your world of procurement?
Yeah, look, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, we are in a really fast, it's changing rapidly. You know, we've obviously got geopolitical, which is a really unsettling environment. I wish I did have a crystal ball, though. It'd make a lot easier. It would. You know, it's but AI also, it's like, you know, how AI is going to change, obviously, the way that we do business, and, you know, working out how do we use AI, you know, to, obviously we're all time poor and things like that. So there's a lot of great things coming. So who knows where we'll be in 2 years? I mean, look, I'd hope that, you know, Domino's world domination still.
And you found that viral moment where it's just...
And I found that viral moment.
Bec Unicomb with a viral unit.
Yeah.
Viral moment. You go, yes, nailed it. I've gone
viral. That's what I want. I just want to become viral. No.
I don't know if that's the best ambition, but anyway.
Yeah, correct. Sounds like a weird disease or something.
No, it's very difficult to predict. I grant you that, but it's, I think, staying lean and being able to react pretty quickly is...
Yeah, we just got to be agile.
And that's been your guys' strength for a long time, is the ability to react and be agile.
And everyone still needs to eat.
Bec, thank you very much. Been a fantastic chat. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for having me.
I hope you've enjoyed it, and thanks for coming on the Bite Sides podcast.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.